the biblicalness of the language is not palpable in the way we speak it in casual conversation. You and I can be saying, can just be talking normally right now, but we don't pay attention to the meaning of each word. So when I say word, what does that mean? If you say word in Erverh, it doesn't only mean word. You understand?
What's the most interesting thing you discovered in your research? And is there a particular story that sticks out, or if not, or if you don't have a particular one, but yeah, what's the most interesting thing you discovered in your research? And is there a particular piece of research or story that pops out definite for you?
All right. Well, the most interesting thing that I've discovered because my research has mainly been focused on the Erverh people, the Erverh speaking people. But what I found out is that the Erverh umbrella is so wide, it's extremely wide, that I found out that Erverh is really the parent Israelite. I don't know if it makes sense. Like, the foundation of Israel is Erverh, meaning the 12 sons of Yasara were speaking Erverh language.
Yes.
And obviously the customs and all those things, and that all of us that are in the world today that are coming from that bloodline, we truly can call ourselves Erverh people. Because I find that we don't really have an umbrella term for us other than Black people. And that's not really our name. Yeah. But our real name really is Erverh. We are Erverh people. Yes. We are the Hebrews. And even though Hebrew captures the sons of Abraham, but really in the text, the ones who were really referred to, who really went by that name, that appellation Hebrew, were the Israelites. The other sons of Abraham didn't refer to themselves as Hebrews, even though they were technically Hebrews according to Abraham's lineage. Yes. So I think that was the most significant part of my research, finding out that, hey, that means that we're not really, Black people doesn't really define us. But really, the word Erverh people is really what we should be going by. And you the second part of your question was if there was something
no, you answered that question. It was just what pops out. You just told me what pops out. But I do have another question. I got another question for you after this one. Or go ahead, Jesher. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just got a question because I know just before you went on, you said some very interesting stuff there because I get confused through my research, especially in that land of I guess the Slave Coast, Kingdom of Judah area. I think that's where traditionally the Erverh people come from, and it goes all the way from Ghana all the way down to Nigeria, Cameroon.
Yes.
Okay. So I know, like in that area, you have so many people that was in. So like the Yoruba, are they
Mhm.
Ewe people or not? And you got the Fon that kind of took over the area. You got the Benin. You
Yeah.
got I think Edo and Isan and all of them were in that area. So is it the different migrations that come, or I think there's is it Geb language, GB, Gib or something? I know a lot of the dialects for
Oh,
Ewe.
be. Yeah,
Bay. Is
be.
that like the people that speak that language, or please kind of help me understand a little based on your understanding.
Yeah. So, the Europeans classified our languages, in different categories, right? And then with the so-called Niger Congo people, they also classified us even further, where they have like what is it called? Well, they have a can under a different umbrella, but they have it under Be. And then they have Euroboid, they have, Eboid, and all this other stuff. But what's interesting is that Be just means language in Ewe language. It just means language. So I don't, I do think that they did give the name Be to those languages that are related to Ewe language, right? Because they have Ewe in there, and they have so many other languages. And I think they're right in that regard. But I also think they did a little bit of, not a little bit, a lot of damage
Okay.
by doing just that, because when they did that, they also gave us different names that we didn't really call ourselves, like even like Ewe, you'll find when you're doing research on Ewe, or like all things Ewe, especially history, you come to a dead end if you use EWE. They gave us that name EWE because they couldn't pronounce the. So they substituted the B with a W. And so we are being called Ewe. Well, if you research us with the name Ewe, you will not go earlier than probably 1950s. Yeah. 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 Or probably early, maybe 1920s and then on. Yeah. Okay. But before then, they were calling us so many different things. They call us Hue, they call us Ebwe, they call us Hola, they'll call us, the names are endless. So it kind of murkies up so many things, But the other people, because we've intermarried so much, and our soldier, the Evers, there's so many of us in Nigeria, so many of us in Benin, in Togo, and so a lot of, like I said earlier, a lot of those lines are blurred. And what makes it worse is that because the European languages had this handicap when it came to pronouncing the word Ewe, and then the different Ewe clans also did go by different names themselves. They went by, just like we mentioned the Anglo. If I didn't tell you that Anglo are part of the Ewe people, you wouldn't have known.
Nope.
You see, right? Because they call themselves Anglo, scribes. And because of all that going on, when they're counting or they're documenting the people that they had interactions with, they usually resort to the most common one, or the one that they dealt with more, they did business with. So yes. For example, they did a lot of business with the Yoruba kingdom of Oyo. So yes. A lot of people that they took from that kingdom to them were Yoruba You understand? And
Yes.
so they would write that as so many 200 people, 200 slaves taken from Yoruba kingdom. And those people are under, they'll classify them as Yoruba people. The same thing with Benin, the Dahomey, right? They'll say, we took so many people from Dahomey kingdom. They are not going to account from what ethnic group those people were captured from.
Okay.
All they care about is we took them from Dahomey kingdom.
Okay.
The same with Asante. You know, we had 3 kingdoms that were strong, and unfortunately they had dealings with Europeans and they waged wars against their neighbors, captured their neighbors and sold them. That one, we're not going to hide from it. It's true. Okay. But it doesn't mean that that's what they were doing forever. They were living decently before Europeans came and made that the trade. Yeah. So tribes like mine, you know, suffered the brunt of that kind of evil alliance, you know. So, and then you have, like I was saying, the Asantes who, for that trade, came together and called themselves Asante. Asante means because of war. And war in those days just meant slavery. So they formed a confederacy for the purpose of capturing, conducting slave raids, capturing people and selling them to enrich their kingdom. So you have those things going on. So I found it very disheartening when I'm reading, you know, historical accounts, and then they say, you know, they give a totally different name to the people who were captured. You know, because they took them from those kingdoms who were powerful at the time because of, you know, circumstances. And so our brothers and sisters, that's another level of identity loss. And then on top of that, the Europeans were pirating themselves, each other. When they got the people that they purchased or captured or however means they used to get them, they got onto the water. This other ship would pirate the other ship.
Yeah.
You know, because they were each company, each slaving company was relegated to whatever jurisdiction their monarchy had power over.
Yes.
Right? They were not supposed to go and get people from another area. Yes. So when they pirated each other and took people from one ship to another ship, they're not going to put on their documentation that these people were taken from. They'll just put whatever they're supposed to have on there.
You know, they do that the best. They do that the best.
Exactly. And they did that a lot. They did that. The piracy was unbelievable.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
And then, so that's
I just want to say, I just want to say, just to jump in, I just thanks for being, you know, just giving the real account and just taking, it's not saying taking responsibility, but you're taking the responsibility to recount things that you know that Erverh have done, and acknowledging that there was peace before, and you know, the European interference just exacerbated the selling of people in a way that never has done. So I just want to say thank you for just giving that real life breakdown of some knowledge that you found out. So yeah, keep on going though. Keep on going.
But that's the same thing with the people that's. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Go ahead. No, I was just wondering, like, the people that's there now, like when they say certain people from Yoruba, they could be mixed with Ewe or something, right? Okay,
absolutely.
So when we do even though it might say this big mask of land or the certain tribe, it could still be a mixture of different tribes together.
Yes, and I'll come to that. Let me just finish this point right quick. When I was talking about the piracy, so that's another level of identity loss. like about a year or two now, I've been going into the slavevoyages.com, or is it .org, and looking at some of the ships and the names that they have listed. And even people that they said they took from Igbo land, I'm finding a lot of them with Ewe names. Exactly. So that's another whole issue that we have to sort out, but thankfully, most of us in sub-Saharan Africa are Israelites anyway. So at least we know that baseline, the Israelite is there. Now, as far as who is Judah, who is Manasseh, who is this, that one, I don't know if we'll
you don't have to divide that one. Yeah, I was gonna have to do that when he got us all back together.
Yes. So tell me again the question you asked me before I wanted to finish that point.
Wasn't that your question, Jesher?
Oh, I was talking about the DNA and now that the fact that we're in like my DNA might say Yoruba or Igbo or you take so many tests, it will pop up so many different ways. So it's like I was wondering, like the kingdoms that's there modern day usually are not the original people that was there because of slavery, and they mixed and they ran and they divided. So I just didn't know how relevant that was from your research to kind of see, the difference between the people were then. Because I think I saw one time you had something about the kingdom of Judah, and you had a picture of the king returning or something, and it said Ewe though. So I know that the king, used to be Fawn. It could have been Yoruba. That's what I was getting confused. So I'm like,
so
everyone
actually, that kingdom of Judah was an Ewe kingdom
originally.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the Soko, the place that they now call Wida, it was an Ewe kingdom, and so was Alada. But the Dahomey, because they got fortified, they got guns and things like that, they were able to conquer both Alada and Judah and Wida. Those were both Ewe kingdoms, so it caused those Ewes to spread further west and east. Yeah. Before then, they also were conquered. They were being conquered by the Oyo, which is also a Yoruba kingdom. Even though we are related, we still had these issues going on because somebody came with guns and with ultimatums and with shining things, Yes. But with the DNA, although my professional career is in science, and I will not throw DNA away, because if we were to say, if I was to doubt or my husband was to doubt the paternity of our children, he will go do a DNA test. Yeah, forbid. But so we know that there's credence to DNA. However, what I would just hold on with is really the tribal identities that are being associated with certain DNA findings. Because they use the DNA pool is so vast. When they take your sample, there's so much DNA in there that for them to only go down with one line is just, it's just like, I don't know, picking one bead out of a gallon of beads, and saying that all the beads are like this one. So I would just, I wouldn't jump with that. I would go more, I think the histories are more credible, and the customs. You've also heard of some customs and traditions that maybe your grandparents passed on to your parents, those kinds of things, help us also to find our way. I have an ancestor within my family lineage who was sold and captured and sold into Everland and was purchased by my family, who now my grandmother's family derives from that ancestor, you see.
Okay.
So I just think that, to say that this person comes from this tribe out of this single DNA is a little bit, I don't know.
Oh yes, I think it's even harder for African Americans because during there was only a small number of us that came to America, and then they breeded us. So you could have so many
Yeah,
different lines of
yeah.
different tribes from all over.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
as I was saying earlier, is that when I did my DNA thing, I was able to connect to somebody from Benin from the Kingdom of Judah, and she said, she wasn't from America. She was actually that's where she was birthed and in that
Yeah.
area. And I know they're ready to do she's over the year of return for next year for Benin
Mm,
year of return.
okay.
So that's
Yeah.
when I was telling her something about this history, and she was
Yes.
amazed, because I heard the word like the city is Silva or something, and that was supposed to be the place where they took a lot of the slaves from Benin.
Seva.
Say it again.
Seva.
Seva. Okay, because
Yeah.
I even find now, like even from because I'm guessing that's a European name that, or was that an original name? You're not sure.
That's
Okay.
an Ever name. It means the
Okay.
law has come.
Okay, because now I see some people that I'm connected to through Portugal that have that from that same last name now. And I
Mm.
was like, oh, so I'm seeing a line and a trace
Oh, you're
back to
talking
that.
about Da Silva.
Okay, so I don't know if it's
That's
the same.
Portuguese.
I don't know if it's
That's
the
a
same.
last name. Yeah, that's a Portuguese last name.
Okay, but the
Yeah.
city in Benin was different. That was
Yeah, there's a city in Benin that was called Seva.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
See, that's what we try to do. We try to find somewhere close to the DNA. Then, like you
Yeah.
said, we try to take the history from that area
Mhm.
and then try to figure out what was going on there
Yeah.
to end up tracking back to,
I'm trying to
the
remember
migration.
the map in my head. I don't think it's called Seva now. It's in the old maps where they
Oh,
had, yeah, yeah. That's that whole Benin Togo space. They had a
okay. Yeah, I
place
got the
there.
map, the Negro Land map right there. That's what I've
I
been trying to
see.
study.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
that's been
yeah.
helpful, but I know there's been a lot of changes and migrations and
There's
stuff. So
been
that's why
a
it's always
lot
great.
and a
Yes.
lot of intertwining, a lot of, yeah, there's a lot of crossing of the tribal, boundaries. And the only people that the Evers wouldn't marry is people who didn't circumcise. But even even today, that has changed, where some people.
Oh yeah, we talked to the Bree tribe. A Bree,
What was that?
a Bree, I think their name. A Bree tribe. They're in like the Ghana area where what's his name? Bob Marley wife. She stays in that area. I can't think of the name. It's near the Ga tribe. A
Oh, well,
Bree.
that's just Ibri. That's a town. It's not a
Okay,
tribe.
but
Yeah. But
we interviewed
Ibri,
them.
who lives in Ibri? Is it Fantis or Gans? Gans. Yeah, but which accounts live there? Is it Fantis?
No, 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 accounts. Ashanti accounts, but they are not Ashanti.
It's not Ashantis don't live in Ibri. Ibri is not an Ashanti town.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's an Akan town.
that's what I'm saying. They are accounts.
But
I
yeah, we
guess.
interviewed them and the one of the chiefs, and they were saying that only the royalty does the
Mhm.
circumcision and not the everyday person. Well, I might get that back. Yeah, yeah. I might get that backwards. I know like the royalty does or doesn't, and the other ones does because of some story and some. So it was just interesting to see within the different tribes of how they look at circumcision and stuff. And I know
Mhm.
that the airway have a lot of different connections of their traditions, customs that go back to the Bible as well, right? So I know
Yeah,
about like the
most of our customs are actually biblical. So there's the let me say a grand uncle of the
Oh,
current president. was a lawyer back in the early 1900s, and so on. And he wrote a book about the customs of the Akans. And there was a contention between the Akans and the Ga people, because it was not all the Akans, between the Asantes and the Ga people, because the Ga circumcised, and they had a whole ceremony for their boys who were coming to the age of circumcision.
Oh, wow.
For them in those days, they were doing it around age 4 and 5. That's the Ga people. And the Asante had sent a prince who was heir to the throne, a prince into the Ga kingdom, for diplomacy and whatnot. And it was unbeknownst to them, it was during the time of the circumcision of the boys. And the Gas went ahead and circumcised the Asante boy king or prince. And that became a beef between them, because now the boy cannot ascend the throne. He cannot become king, because according to their customs, a circumcised man cannot ascend the throne.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really interesting.
So I think that's what you were referring to.
Yeah, we gotta meet with them next week. So I'm trying to remember some of the story.
But like I said, it's a very complex history, because the Asantes are not a tribe by themselves. They're a confederacy. And so people can join and leave the confederacy at any time, whenever they, so it's not a tribe. It's a confederacy. And then the customs that the Asantes observe they're not observed by all of the Akans. And they belong to the Akan ethnic group. So it's curious as to where certain customs started from, if they did have a beginning, and they became unique to the Asante Caliphate, you see. So that's a lot of history for somebody else to research.
Yeah.
So we actually
but
have
even
Erverh,
the Erverh people, among the Anglo people had an alliance with the Asante people in some point in history. The Anglo, I mentioned that they're Levites, and they were offered land in Asante proper. So they have an Anglo town within Asante, and they also offered land to the Asantes within Anglo, the Anglo area. And so when you go to Asante land now, you will find Erverhs there.
Okay.
Also, who have lived there for decades, who have married, have children,
right.
And you will find Asantes also among the Anglo people, although not in great numbers, but they're there.
Yes.
So there are a lot of those exchanges. The lines are truly blurred now. So and I think it's safe to say that most of sub-Saharan Africa is Israel, and Sarah. And so anybody, you guys whose ancestors were taken from there, especially from the kingdom of Judah, you're definitely Israelites. And even others spread out across the oceans, going to other places like Southern America, in Europe, and elsewhere. Yeah, we're definitely spread out everywhere.
Nice. I just want to ask you, why is Ewe language, culture, and people important to the knowledge and history of African Jews or Israelites? Why do you think that Ewe knowledge is important to the ingathering African Jews, Israelites, and everything in between? And so, can you expound upon that? Why you think personally, you can say it how it is, how you feel that. If you think it's important, if you think it's just a little crumb in the pond, or if you think it's something substantial, I really want you to expound let the audience, young and old, understand the importance of the Eves and in general. So if you could expound upon that, I'd be, definitely interested in hearing your response.
Well, I think why it is important is because I think Yah intentionally left us who do speak the language and have maintained the customs, even though steeped in the pantheons. But Yah intentionally left us to preserve those things so that our brothers and sisters who were scattered can find their way back. Okay. You see, because the language really is what ties us together. And it's through the language that we can actually see the scriptures come to life. It has such a deeper meaning when we look at the word through the lens of the language. It really takes away the romanticism and really makes it plain for us. It really does. And the customs, they're there to serve as evidence that truly we are Yah's people.
Yes.
And we're still doing these things. You see, we do need some kind of concrete evidence to show us that we are Yah's people, and not just we read it in a book. Yeah. So I think it's very important that my wish and my prayer is that the Erverh people will come out from the struggles, that the burdens will be lightened, because the burdens are pretty heavy right now. The Erverh people are really struggling when it comes to the economics of the countries that they live in. They're not ruling in any of the countries, even though they are in all these 4 countries. In the past, when they have had a ruler who came from among them, they were heading in the right direction, and not just them, but everybody else around them was also benefiting. But it didn't work out because the powers that be did not allow so. We had a ruler who wanted to unify Erverh land, and he was stopped. This government stopped him. So yeah, but
can you speak the elder's name so that other people may want to do some research in regards to that incident, because some people might say, hey, she's just making things up. If you have his name, or so that we can look into that more, that'd be very interesting, because we're all about understanding the effects of the colonial powers from back then even into today. If you could remember, and that'd be cool for research purposes.
Yeah, I think he was the prime minister or first president of Togo, and the last name I believe is Olympio.
Okay.
Olympio. Yeah, look for that name, Olympio. Yeah. But if our burdens are lightened a little bit, I think then we can focus on other things other than our next meal. Yes. But as long as the focus is what the next meal, then the masses are not going to invest into the education and the research that it takes to be fully awakened, even to buy data and listen to a YouTube video is a problem for a lot of people.
Didn't think about that. Wow.
Yeah. Talk less of going to a library. They don't have those infrastructures. They have libraries, but these books are not in those libraries.
Okay.
You see, the books that are in the libraries are the ones that will help continue them in this current situation.
Okay.
You see.
Here, yeah.
So when we pray, us here in the diaspora, let's remember our brothers and sisters there, because as much as we are so distant from each other, we do need each other. And
Yes.
I don't believe that we will really have a full gathering if we don't have the core of the Erverh people awakened and to knowing fully, not just hearing it as a child, but knowing fully and taking that step that is required, which is to repent and to come back to Yah and do away with all those distractions, the things that keep us away from Yah, because we need to come back to Yah, because that's laid out plain and simple for us in 2 Chronicles 7:14, where he says, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and seek my face and pray, and I will hear from heaven and heal their land. That's what we need to do, and they need to do it there. We need to do it here, obviously, as well, because we have brothers and sisters in the diaspora who are just as lost.
Yes.
Yeah, so our prayer needs to be intensified, because like I said earlier, Yah dealt with us collectively. You know, our major salvation is going to come for us collectively. So I'm sure when Moses was getting the Israelites to leave, it also took people, some Israelites, to convince their neighbors, yes, this guy is legit. Yah is really speaking to him. We really need to get up and go. This Egypt is not good for you, even though it seems like you didn't get a whooping today, but Egypt is not it. We do need to move on. And we just have to keep doing this work. And I thank you all so much for what you are doing in the awakening. And I will keep you all in prayer as well.
Thank you. We
And
appreciate
isn't there something
you.
that happened with a flood or something in the airway? I saw something on. Could you speak to
the Volta flood?
That?
Yeah, so the Volta region in Ghana has been there's a lot of history there. There's a lot of contention, not amongst the people. It's about the leadership and the land, because initially it was not supposed to be incorporated into the country of Ghana. And there was a decision that was made, and it was made to seem that the people had a choice to join the country of Ghana or to be independent. And it wasn't very clear. The evidence wasn't clear whether the people truly had made the decision, because the people who were said to have voted denied having voted.
Wow.
And somehow it was incorporated. It was incorporated into the country of Ghana. But at the same time, there was still a document with the, I believe with the UN, that mentioned that the Erverh side, or the Volta region, was to be allowed to gain its independence at some point. And I think the year was like year 2000 or something like that. Mm. So because of that, because the country of Ghana is not very sure about where we stand, a lot of resources have been withheld. and development has been withheld because they don't want to put the money into developing that land, although we pay the taxes, but they don't want to build the infrastructures because we may very well have still that case and be able to gain our independence. I personally, I don't think that we do need to be separate from the country of Ghana. But because of these political issues, they've been also trying to divide our land some more. So recently, when the current administration came into power, they decided to divide the land into two and call the southern part Volta region, and then the other part give it a different name and make it a separate region altogether and not incorporate it into the Volta region. So now if you look up Volta region, it's a little piece of land in the southeastern part of Ghana. Wow. And so, and like I said, the resources are withheld. The roads aren't being built. The infrastructures are not being built. You know, the things that were built in the past are not being maintained. And that's part of the burden that is, you know, burdening the people as well. I think I went into a tangent. Did I answer your question?
Oh, yes. Please, let us, know how we can help, share information, because even here in the state, America, it's always hard to know. I know most of the time we have community of tribes and they have, chapters and stuff. So, but it's kind of hard to know, who do we that support certain causes and who, we don't really. So that's what we're also looking for, some advisement or even with that. So we like to help, but I know it's just not to throw money because you don't know where that money is going to go. So,
and then, like you mentioned that the flooding issue, the dam is being managed by a government entity. They're government appointees who are managing that dam. And they're supposed to, every year when the water reaches a certain level, they're supposed to release it gradually. Yes. And so as to not overburden the communities around and not cause any disasters. But this time they seem to have not done that, and they just released it all of a sudden without warning the people or trying to relocate the people. And so you have some 30,000 plus Volta region residents who were displaced.
Wow.
And they became homeless overnight. And it was intentional. This wasn't a natural disaster. We don't have any natural disasters in our land.
Yeah, okay.
But this was intentional. And when it happened, instead of mobilizing all the resources to help those people, they were actually politicizing the issue. And they made a comment like, well, you all don't vote for me anyway.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's what we're facing. And so if anybody is touched to help, they're still collecting funds for those displaced communities. Let me see. I have the link on one of my YouTube videos. I wasn't prepared to share it today, so I don't have it in front of me.
Problem. We can always add it to later on.
Okay. Yeah. You can send us. You can send us the link, and I'll add it in right here in the.
Yeah. Okay, then I'll do that. And also going back to the language, I do teach it. I don't teach it myself directly as often. Every once in a while, I'll, speak in the classroom. But I do have teachers who are teaching it. In fact, we had a class today And we teach it on Saturdays at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 2 hours, and Sundays at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 2 hours. And it's only $10 per session. That's 2 hours for $10. It's really nothing, because if you went to look to learn French, you would be paying $50 an hour, no less.
More than that.
The teachers, more than that. The teachers and I really have a passion for our brothers and sisters to learn the language. So we've dedicated this time on weekends to make sure that our brothers and teachers and sisters learn it. And I'll share the links to that as well.
Okay.
Thank you. And just to make sure I understand, because even with that teaching, the Erverh language, I remember hearing, and I think it was one of your videos, how it's been mixed with Latin or something, but the original one was closer to like more of the ancient Hebrew. I know we are going out of time, but could you give us kind of like a breakdown of the Erverh language connected to Hebrew or anything like that?
So I mentioned before that the Erverh language is ancient Hebrew. The way we speak it, the language is very intelligent, I must say. After all these years of researching it and studying it, it's extremely intelligent. Oh my goodness, the baby is here. Oh, hi, sweetie. All right. She's so adorable. Okay, so because the language is tonal, it has one word can mean several different things. So it's very context driven. You have to know the context to understand what the person is speaking about. Good. So the Hebrewness or the biblicalness of the language is not palpable in the way we speak it in casual conversation. You and I can be saying, can just be talking normally right now, but we don't pay attention to the meaning of each word. So when I say word, what does that mean? If you say word in Erverh, it doesn't only mean word. You understand? So the word for word is nya, N-Y-A. That's nya. But nya, also, if you pronounce it nya, it means knowledge. If you even nya, still, if you pronounce it nya, it in a different context, it means to sack somebody or to chase them away. Nya. Nya also means to wash clothes. That's just one word. You see, so when we're studying the Hebraic aspect of the language, we have to be cognizant of those nuances. And those are the nuances we're not cognizant of when we're just speaking. We just, once you have your context, you just speak and we get what you're saying. We don't stop to think about anything else about that. Recently, not that recently, so a while ago, I made a video about the old woman. I made a video about knowledge and wisdom on my YouTube channel. And I talked about how knowledge and wisdom is seen as an old woman within the Erverh culture. And that's the same thing in the biblical account, where knowledge is seen as a woman. And she says she was there from the beginning. So she's an old woman. And the word for old woman in Erverh language is nyaga. And it just means great knowledge or great wisdom. You see. So the language, but when we're speaking, if I just say Nyaga and referring to an old woman, we are not pausing to remember that it means great wisdom and great knowledge. We're just saying old woman.
Gotcha. Okay.
You see,
Yeah.
you see. Yeah, so when it comes to studying the biblical text or the names in the Bible, we have to those stops are required so that you can actually understand what it is that they are saying in that word.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're very welcome.
Yeah, sure. Do you have any? I know that you had a few things that you wanted to ask. Is that all
Oh
that
no,
you
I
wanted?
mean I'll have her all here all night, so I can't. I guess we might have to do a part two or something. I don't want to hold her up too much, but I do appreciate her time that's here. You know, a lot of the good stuff that she has, and maybe next time she might do a presentation and even give us more. I know a lot of the customs and language, and it's just
Yeah.
so amazing when you look at even go to her YouTube, and you'll see a lot of amazing stuff. So thank you for your time here tonight as well.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you all for having me.
Yeah, we appreciate you, and we just, if you would like to, or I would like you, if you could send us out in a prayer in Erverh, and just end it like that. I think that would be, we talked about a lot of the language, so
Yes.
if you would be willing to just, lead us out the outro of prayer, and if we could do it in the Erverh language, and then I'll put it in subtitles, and I just we'll wonder if you would do that for us.
Sure. You want me to pray now?
Yeah, we're gonna end
Oh,
it out.
okay.
We're gonna end out the interview right now. There ain't no. Oh well, no. Let me just say this before we go. Do you have any questions for us?
No. I'm not used to being the one asking questions.
Well then, well, that's okay. Well, we'll just end it. You did great. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Like I said, please end us out with a prayer, and that would be great.
In Ivri. Yo.
In
Okay.
Erverh.
Okay. Very well. All right. Let's pray. Miamalga mi dakpena mi kafo. Mi do de ji mi subo. Mi dakpena de wun lono vavan. Sikene kona mita. Mi dakpena be egakplo mi vakpe fiancia. E mile e peope nyagbolo. Fofo. Mi dakpena de wo gboko kwelata. Mi dakpena be ekplomito nyasiao katame. Fofo. Esi emi gale kpakpam mi bia be wo gbogbo na kplɔ mi mi ayi dzi anɔ wo dɔ wɔ mi bia be na do ŋusẽ mi bena eʋe ƒomea katã nenyɔ nonya be vavã ewoe nye Mawu gã miaɖe asi le miaƒe nu vɔ̃wo katã ŋu miadze wo yome. Fofo, mi bia be wo dɔlawo nadzɔ mia ŋuti dzɔgbevɔ̃e ɖeke maƒo go mi o. Elabe wonya na mienya be eli na mi ɖa tegbe. Fofo miebia sia katã le viwò Yesu ƒe ŋkɔ me. Neva eme. That's amen.